nine, eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two. Are you ready?
Welcome back to another Hard Way Wrestling 2 in 1 day. I can't believe that we're doing 2 in 1 day. We do not have lives. One guy told me on the YouTube one time, "Get a girl, bro." As he's jerking off to me, watching me on YouTube. Anyway, we have a special Hard Way Wrestling. I am joined here with Ricky and Scott and the second generational sensation, Brian Hardy, and Jesse Gibson is in the house. So we are here to cover.
Soon to be Jesse Barnhart.
And I some kind of champion.
Yeah, I was about to say, and currently our fantasy league champion.
Where's your belt?
Should
You
have
didn't bring
brought my
your
belt
belt. Didn't
in.
wear your belt. Just the belt.
No.
Anyway, we're here to talk about the Vince McMahon fallout from earlier. Was it yesterday or last night or today when
Like late yesterday when all that stuff started coming out.
And they filed all the court nonsense. Let's make sure that we are on YouTube. I guess
We are.
We're on YouTube and Facebook. So
Yep.
we are on the tube. So yesterday, court proceedings. Janelle Grant filed a complaint against World Wrestling Entertainment Inc. NKA World Wrestling Entertainment LLC, Vincent K. McMahon, and John Laurinaitis. Plaintiff Janelle Grant, by and through her unassigned counsel, hereby files a complaint against defendants World Wrestling Entertainment LLC, WWE, or the company, Vincent K. McMahon and John Laurinaitis, alleging as follows. Plaintiff Janelle Grant is a former employee of WWE who was victim of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking at WWE. Mrs. Grant is filing the lawsuit not just to address her own suffering, but also to act for those who are afraid to speak out. Number two, WWE billionaire founder and executive chairman defendant Vincent Kennedy McMahon lived in a penthouse duplex in Mrs. Grant's apartment building. Number three, the two met in March of 2019 when Mrs. Grant was dealing with profound grief and struggling, and she was struggling financially after devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving for her parents that passed. On top of that, she was employed, and her family home was lost in her parents' bankruptcy. After her family passed away, Mrs. Grant dedicated herself to finding gainful employment. Neighbors in her building provided career advice and sought her assistance with personal events. Mrs. Grant used to do non-paying roles and volunteer work in community initiatives and build her resume. I mean, it's kind of like Hard Way Wrestling. We just do this for free. I am sexually abused on the daily. The building resident manager wanted to help. Messaged McMahon and asked whether he would talk to her, sharing that Mrs. Grant had been through hardship and would do great things in giving a fresh start to McMahon's enthusiastic response. Hell yeah! They put that in the court thing. That's good. McMahon befriended Mrs. Grant, giving her hopes of a new life with promising and yet to be determined role in WWE, and showering her with attention and assurances with gifts like the VIP experience at WrestleMania. But what seemed like a dream in the spring of 2019 quickly became a nightmare. McMahon dangled career-making and life-changing promises in front of Mrs. Grant. He demonstrated an increased lack of boundaries during several meetings that were, what is that? What is that word? Special needs, about a potential job at WWE. He greeted her in his underwear, touching her repeatedly, asking for hugs, and spent hours sharing intimate details about his life. That's a move right there. I like it. It's a pretty good move. McMahon wanted Mrs. Grant to keep this closest secret, lest rumors lead to public trouble, and added that while he protects loyal people, he had world-class legal resources on speed dial, Jacob Nuge, to deal with people who become a problem. Okay. Do we want to get into some of the bullshit that McMahon is alleged of doing? Do we want to get into that?
I mean,
That is some
I
pretty
would,
gnarly stuff from what I've read so far.
yeah. Like I would go minimal into it just so we get an idea overview, but not heavy details, because it was just from just like you, Jason. I read the first 3 or 4 pages and I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like,
okay, we're just gonna. What was it? 5? Where were we at? During her career, McMahon's sexual demands or facing. Oh yeah. So he basically told her that if she didn't fulfill his sexual demands, that he would ruin her. Mrs. Grant feared that she would lose everything and facing negative consequences no matter what happened. After succumbing, I guess that's what that is.
yeah.
To the pressure and the physical relationship, Mrs. Grant was slotted into the entry-level position of administrative coordinator, a position McMahon created in her for her WWE legal department. Mrs. Grant began to work in the role on June 17, 2019. Mrs. Grant remained in the role with the exception of temporary relocation to XFL until McMahon verbally directed her to transfer to the Talent Relations Department, reporting to defendant John Laurinaitis on March 9th, 2021. During a conversation on the same day, McMahon explained to her presence in the legal department was effectively delaying efforts to hire new general counsel for the company. McMahon and Laurinaitis informed Mrs. Grant that she would be promoted to vice president of operations in the talent relationship department, providing her with the organizational chart reflecting the decision. Let me try to just scroll down through this real quick. At this time, McMahon ordered Grant to keep relationships. So he wanted to keep it a secret. Okay. For example, here's why I stopped. I think McMahon extremely depravity. On May 9th, 2020, he defecated on Mrs. Grant during a threesome, and then commanded her to continue pleasuring his friend with feces in her hair and running down her back, while McMahon went to the bathroom to shower off. Upon the return from the bathroom, McMahon and his friend actively resumed the threesome, which lasted over an hour and a half, while Mrs. Grant remained covered in McMahon's filth. When McMahon's friend left, McMahon ordered her to stay and continue to sexually gratify him.
That's fucking disgusting.
I don't know how much further you guys want to go. So here's what we're going to get into, right? There was a lot of shit. I posted on Hardway Wrestling. There's a lot of shit.
Literally.
Literally and physically in this court document. I did not read much further than that because it fucking made my stomach turn. And if you guys have any questions, I don't know who's on here, who's not on here. If you guys have any questions and you want to run them into the chat, we will look at them. Looks like something. Oh, okay. We got some people. All right, I'm here now. Owen. Yes, Owen is here. Should Owen be listening to this? I don't think so.
Sort of sign a permission slip.
Anyway, there
He
was a
knows
lot.
he knows more about it than I do right now.
So I saw a lot of comments today about, well, she took the money. She should have took the money, or she didn't get all the money. She took some of the money, so that must have made it okay. Or she accepted the gifts, and why didn't she just leave? There was a lot of different comments when it came to this kind of thing. So this is why I have Jesse on here today. Jesse was in a how long were you in a relationship for?
11 years.
11-year relationship with a gentleman who was mentally and physically abusive. And so do you want to kind of, as a woman, being in this relationship, now you're not I don't think you're a real strong-willed person. Honestly, I just don't think you're that a strong-willed person. And to get out of a relationship like that, and I don't know this lady. I don't know what her relationship is, or what kind of mental being she is, or how she carries herself. But to get out of a situation like this is difficult enough, and not to be strong-willed is even fucking worse. Like it's like you feel like you're powerless. So, as a person who's in 11-year relationship with a guy, can you kind of explain why you put you could, I don't have to say, please put yourself in her shoes. You've been in her shoes, so you know how it feels. And can you kind of explain to everybody why women do like this, do what they do?
I can't like speak for everybody, but I know that feeling in that relationship is, and I felt so horrible because everybody was saying, well, she took the gifts, and it's not about taking it. If you have something delivered, it's given to you. It's not like she was, and I can't speak for her, but maybe she wasn't open-handedly taking it. But that feeling of being so worthless and so it beats you down. It wears you down to the point where if this person has beat you down to the point where you feel this low and this bad and you're worthless and you feel like nothing, that instant emotional give back where the guy actually bought you flowers, or he said he's sorry, or he wants to hug you, or that you are so desperate for that love and affectionate feeling that you'll go right back into their arms. And that's kind of what I put on one of the posts. Was it's actually a very manipulative move that the abuser does. It's horrible. They will beat you down to your nothing and then give you that one little ounce of hope that they're not a bad guy. They really actually love you. And you're so desperate for that loving feeling that you'll take it. You'll take it immediately and hope and pray that's the change, that they don't want to do this to you, that they don't want to be this way. And I kind of felt for this girl because he did insert himself in every aspect of her life, and there was no way of getting out. And that is the feeling. There's no way out. Well,
it's also like, and we were talking about it earlier, it's when someone like that beats, and he might not have physically beat her down, but he beat her mentally down to a point where she was helpless. Right. And when you turn around and you say, oh, here's a Tiffany's gift card, and it's almost like, okay, that was it.
Yeah.
I passed the test. I'm fine now. Everything's going to be okay. He'll never do it again. It's a means to an end. And then it happens again, and you get beat down, and then he says, hey, here's some flowers. Here's a Bloomingdale's card or whatever. I mean, because they were in the court proceedings.
All of this was paid for by WWE.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Here's whatever gift. Here's a new car.
BMW.
Yeah. I mean, there was all kinds of things in the proceedings that you'll be able to read about.
There was also little tidbits in there too that I was reading about. It was stuff like whenever she didn't want to do like the threesomes and stuff, he eventually told her that he loved her. And to somebody who is just wanting that, you know what I mean? That meant the world. I'm sure she would have done anything at that point because he loves me. You know, it must be, he wouldn't do anything.
I got to do this for him.
Yeah.
He needs me.
So I wanted to make sure everybody understood that it wasn't just, oh, give me gifts or something like that. Like that feeling is real for people who are stuck in that situation. Like they don't feel like there's any way out. Like I felt like I wasn't worth anything and nobody would love me. Nobody would love me after what, they've done to me, or nobody would want me after that, or I wasn't good enough for anybody. And that's really a tough spot to be in when you yourself realize that you don't have anywhere else to go but stay right where you are. And that's an awful.
I mean, she absolutely, she had nothing. She came from nothing. He
Mm-hmm.
gave her something, and she was holding on to it by any means necessary. So,
yeah, it's a bad situation. It really pulled at my heartstrings, because that's a really tough place to be, is nowhere, and feel like the only person you can belong to is somebody who tortures you on a daily basis.
Have you guys ever? I wouldn't say you guys have ever gone through anything like that, but do you kind of understand? Where, I mean, it's a tough situation. We could have stood on it. We could have read the court documents and made fun of everything, but I really thought that after a while, thinking that we need to have someone on that's kind of been through this kind of thing. So I'm glad you. Thank you. I know it's tough. I know this is a tough situation, and it is honestly taking you and you still have your times where you're,
I do.
yeah, but you've come a long way, right?
Yes.
There's someone out there that loves you. I don't know who it is.
God love Jason. He has to put up with me apologizing for everything every 30 seconds.
If she farts and it stinks, she's just like, I'm so sorry.
Or me.
I'm like, that wasn't you. That was Ricky.
What?
Or me constantly saying, "Is everything okay?"
Too much beer when I crash on the couch.
That's true.
Yeah.
I tried to use John Senor's litter box, but he wouldn't let me.
So, how do you guys feel about what went on with Vince and were you surprised? First off, were you surprised when you hear all this stuff about him using the dildos, naming the wrestlers after? I'm sure
that is some out there.
I'm sure his guys were super excited about knowing that the Godfather, right? I'm sure he was super excited about that.
At least he kept them racial appropriate.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, well, we all know that Vince McMahon is a huge racist, right? He is a huge racist. It is not something that's not known. That's for sure. So
yeah, that just some of the stuff he did is absolutely appalling. And like, honestly, I've always figured Vince was somewhat of a sick-minded person. Somebody with a lot of ego and power and money. But after reading some of the stuff that he put this girl through is just, even for Vince, I didn't think he would do some of this stuff.
Well, he's definitely a sexual sadist. I mean, I'm surprised people haven't gone missing with this dude. Like, that was some scary stuff.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
There's going to be a ton more coming out, I bet.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. It is, and I hate to agree with Ryback. Ryback came out with a video saying, "I told you guys that he was a piece of shit." Blah blah blah, and we all know it's Ryback. But I don't know. We saw a video earlier today with Stephanie, and she was crying, saying that, I did everything for you. You asked me to do. You wanted me to do things with these guys, and I did it for you. And I showed her the video, and she's like, "Duh, that's real. That's not acting. That's real." So God knows what he made Stephanie do, if that's even the thing. I mean,
yeah. How does their family feel? How does Linda feel about it? What kind of shit was she put through over the years?
I don't even know if Linda and him are really together anymore.
Yeah, no. She's in Florida. He's in Connecticut. Like, they don't see each other. They don't talk to each other. Like,
now, what was the girl that killed herself?
Ashley Mazzaro.
Okay, what was that story about? Do you remember?
All I remember,
she had depression issues from what I remember. I think
she had been let go by WWE several years prior, and she'd been on the independents, and then something happened, and her depression had creeped up, and she took her own life, sadly enough. But from what I remember, what people had said during that time is some of her issues stem from her time with WWE. Not all of them, but some of them had stemmed from her time in WWE. And timeline, it makes sense because that was during the time that Laurinaitis was in charge of the women's division. and we all know what kind of a pest Laurinaitis is. Huh?
Go ahead, B.
Wasn't she also the one that had the situation overseas with the military person under WWE's watch?
Don't.
I remember hearing something about that, but I don't remember if that was her.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think it was something along the lines of like, I don't want to be misquoted on it, but I'm pretty sure that from what I had read, they said that Vince, she went to Vince because it was like the tribute to the troops thing or something like that or whatever, and that she went to Vince and said something about how like she was sexually assaulted by a member of the army or something like that over there, and pretty much Vince's thing was just like, get over it, like type thing, and it was like, if that, if there's any truth to that, like hearing all this stuff now, it's like that makes sense, like that kind of stuff makes sense that was the stuff being said.
Well, you brought up John Laurinaitis. He was also named in this court document as someone else who was part of threesomes, and this girl was basically passed around from wrestler to wrestler to executive and other executive. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Yep. So passed around, different person. Whenever Vince was done with it for a while, he gave it her Laurinaitis, and then they also used this Grant girl for to bring in talent. Anytime they wanted to sign talent, this girl would send videos to the talent, doing whatever to herself and naked or whatever the videos were, and I mean that was part of the whole thing to get new talent to come in. That they got a round with this Grant. One of them happened to be Brock Lesnar, who was also in this court proceeding. There was a ex UFC fighter that they were trying to re-sign. I don't know who they would have been talking about. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't seem like there's too many people out there that were ex-UFC fighters that are trying to re-sign into the WWE. So,
and we all know that Brock is one of Vince's all-time guys.
Yeah.
That's just a little disappointing that if Brock is really involved in this, that, it's disappointing that he is.
So back sometime last year, beginning of last year, middle of last year, the police raided Vince's house. They took his computers, and you don't just do that, right? You just, not because there's some bullshit going on in the workplace. There was some shit, and this is what that's all going to come out here eventually once they get done investigating it, and it's federal thing. So the federal, when it's a federal thing, they make sure that it sticks. It's not we're going to see if it's real or not. They already know. There's something out there. They already know. They already have text messages. They already have computer emails and all that stuff. So it's all gonna come out. And that's when Laurinaitis ended up being let go from the WWE or whatnot. Right? That was the same time, or was that before that?
It was actually, I think, before that, but because he was let go in their original Vince retirement deal. And right after that is when Vince's stuff got raided, and then Vince made a surprise comeback to try to sell WWE to Endeavor and yada yada. But no, he was fired. Laurinaitis was fired right around the same time Vince retired.
Right.
But something I want to bring up that is being said in those court documents that's very interesting. Something I've been thinking about, because you brought up the joke of Stephen P. New, and of course he would never be involved in something like this. But what's Vince's lawyer's name? My brain just blanked on it now.
The guy that is no longer his lawyer.
Yeah, but was his lawyer for
Yes. Freaking good God, Jerry McDevitt.
McDevitt.
Thank you, McDevitt. Yeah.
So in 2019, McDivitt is still McMahon's lawyer. McMahon, the claims are in the lawsuit. Vince is like, I've got a lot of high-powered, attorneys on retainer that can make your life miserable. McDivitt knows all of McMahon's skeletons. So I'm wondering, I mean, yes, he's retired, but I wonder how much of this is going to also come back on McDivitt because
isn't that client? Isn't that like client?
Yeah, yes, but
Confident.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you were doing like sex trafficking is illegal in any form whatsoever, and with everything that Vince has done, and that he's used McDivitt to cover up, I don't think a lawyer is above the law in that aspect of it. Like, it's one thing, covering up some financial crimes and stuff like that, like a little bit of money laundering. Yes, you're still probably going to go to jail, but you're not going to, you're not going to do hard time for that kind of stuff. It's, you go to a little like minimum security kind of stuff. But this is one of those things where, I look at it and like, okay, Laurinaitis, McDivitt, McMahon, Lesnar, there's a lot that a lot of people have to answer for in this. And, who was a party to what and who knew what and when and who, like you said, Jason, they know something's going on. They have.
Well, everybody jumped ship, right? McDivitt jumped ship.
Yeah.
He retired. Like, he didn't need to retire. He's got a meal ticket. He worked for Vince by himself, right? It wasn't that just Vince's,
he was Vince's personal
lawyer. Yeah. So
he made his bonus defending Vince in the steroid trial. And that was something else that also my personal reaction to this. The first thing I thought of, do you guys remember this the lawsuit in the late 80s, early 90s, the lady who claimed Vince promised her job promotions and stuff like that? I cannot remember the lady.
Rita Chatterton.
Rita Chatterton. When I first heard about this, and other people were posting this as well, she's looking for a meal ticket, and that was again my initial knee-jerk reaction was the same thing, especially considering it came one day after the whole Netflix deal was signed and inked and stuff like that. I was like, oh man, so she's just looking. I mean, yes, we know Vince has done some depraved things, but it seemed a little suspicious. But as you got in and read some of that stuff and listened to it, and you go back, and again, I wasn't fully aware of the whole Rita Chatterton thing. I've only heard the details in stories long after the events had happened. But if you listen to her, you see there's clips on YouTube of her talking and stuff like that, and some of the stuff that Chatterton said, again, in some ways resembles what this new lady is talking about in her lawsuit. And, now you kind of look back on it, it's like, you dismissed it. You dismiss it once, shame on you. Dismiss it twice, shame on me for not believing it. You look at it and it's like, all right, something like now there's a pattern of behavior. And even with the stuff that's come out in the last 2 years of Vince and the NDAs and all that kind of stuff, the misappropriation of funds to funnel his proclivities, it's just like, my gosh, the guy 78 years old. I just looked it up, 78 years old, and this man is pulling some of the most vile stuff I've ever seen. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't know. It just makes it, like you said, Jason, makes me sick to my stomach. So I feel bad for this lady, especially with all the proof that she has and the text messages and stuff like that.
He could have paid her. They signed an NDA. He was supposed to pay her $3 million. He paid her $1 million and told her to fuck off.
Well, and
which is insane to me.
Why wouldn't you just pay the $3 million? Go.
But here's the thing. That's another Vince MO, which cracked me up when I heard about that, because Vince is like, I forget who it is. There's a wrestler or a wrestler manager, somebody out there wrote a biography, and the quote that never made it into the actual book, but it's been cited by a lot of wrestlers, is what'll be written on Vince's tombstone. Here lies Vince McMahon, who broke faith in the handshake. You know, like stuff like Vince did deals with other promotions. Stu Hart is a prime example of it. You know,
I was going to say just go to Calgary. Like he never paid Stu, for Stampede Wrestling.
Yeah, so that's why when I heard about the $1 million, he promised to pay her to keep her quiet, and then paid her the $1 million, and then decided, screw it, I'm not paying anymore.
In the corporate things too, that he paid her, he begged her for weeks to sign this NDA. He begged her, come on, please sign this. You do it for me. I love you. Blah 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 blah. She finally signed it because, again, it's like the gifts. This is an end. This is the end of it all. And as soon as she signed it, he texted her and said, hey, don't forget so-and-so's coming to town. You got to fuck him. Jeez. That was in the court papers.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But this guy's a fucking animal. A fucking animal.
Yeah.
A fucking animal. And the sad thing about this whole thing, he's not going to get anything out of it, most likely. They're going to have a tough time. They're going to have a tough time proving trafficking. Trafficking, I think, is the only thing is going that they could get him on. But everything else, he's a fucking freak. He's a fucking freak.
I think I said before we went on air, sadly, I think he's going to walk. And that's the thing, is like they're going to somehow, man, he always comes out smelling like a rose,
I think that is how billionaires and millionaires are. You can't touch them. You can't.
Money talks.
That is true. And that is true. And that's the tough part about the whole thing, because he is so used to paying people, and the government knows that. The feds know that. They'll say, okay, Vince, how much you got? If they look at me and say, hey, Jason, I need $32,000 from you. Half my fucking savings or whatever. That's what they'll ask for. They're going to look at Vince and they're going to say, hey, I need $90 million. And you can walk. And if he has $90 million, which they already know what the fuck he has, because most likely they've been through all those. If they've gone through his emails, they've gone through his bank statements, they've gone through his bank account and seen where this money's been transferred. They've had to audit WWE banks and stuff like that for the mergers. They know where this money's been going. They know how much money the company has. That's why he had to unload his company. Do you think this motherfucker, this controlling motherfucker, wanted to get rid of this company? Fuck no.
No.
He had to, because he's going to lose it. He was going to lose all of it. One way or another, he's going to lose it all. Between the feds and the lawsuits coming, he's going to lose it all. And the only thing he's going to have left is that stupid fucking mustache.
See, I never thought of it.
It's fucking unfortunate, though, like the money allows certain people to get away with shit like this. Because if one of us did that, you'd never hear from either of us again. We'd be gone.
We're a fucking example, bro.
We would be fucking toast.
We're example. We would be a fucking example.
It's bullshit.
But this prick is going to be on an island somewhere, probably Epstein's island. That's what I want. I want this motherfucker's name to come out on that list. I heard, and I'm pissed off at Pat McAfee right now because I think he had Vince on yesterday. He had Khan on Monday, or I think it was Monday. They were talking about the Netflix deal. And the first thing this fucking Khan said, whatever said, just remember Vince McMahon was a pioneer and he made this thing go. He made this thing work. These motherfuckers around him that are humanizing this piece of shit, they can fuck off too, all the way off.
Yeah.
Because at some point in time, you got to disconnect from that. Like, that's the thing that, even for me, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and bullshit anybody, for years, I turned a blind eye. I was like, that's fucking Vince McMahon. He's revolutionary. He's this, he's that, he's blah, 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 blah. I think just
you
hearing
said it
the
on here because you said it on here. You don't want to get into that kind of stuff. You don't like because it's Vince. You don't like to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's wild now because like just in the little bit of stuff that I heard and saw, I'm just like, bro, like what the fuck? At some point in time, you really got to take a step back and just go. It doesn't fucking matter if you're the creator of fucking Nestle chocolate milk or whatever the fuck you're deciding to create.
Well, don't go.
If you're a piece,
that's some good shit.
No. I'm nothing. Like I said, I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
But it doesn't matter what the fuck you've created. I don't care if you created the best smelling candle in the fucking world and you're like, here's the dog shit smelling candle. You're going to have your people that are going to be like, they created that. But at the end of the day, you got to separate that shit from what they created in comparison to what the fuck they're doing, you know, and go like, yeah, that's not a good human being, you know, like that's not appropriate. And like I said, dude never did anything wrong to me physically, but it's kind of like when you're putting the pieces together. And I mean, aside from like even the comment earlier that Scotty made, my brain went right to Rita Chatterton right away. Yeah. But then the thing was, I also stopped and thought, well, if he thinks that type of behavior is appropriate, then all the fucking shit that was said about Nancy Argentina and her murder with the Jimmy Snuka shit and stuff years ago, like who the fuck is at that point? Who's to say that he really didn't go and just say, hey, I'm going to fucking pay you. You know, like her family said, Vince was like, how much money do you want to shut the fuck up? You know, like, and it's like, money is not going to bring back the death of somebody. You know what I mean? And that goes so much further than that. Like, we could talk about Owen Hart's death. We could talk about a million different fucking things. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro.
Yeah, Benoit.
Yeah.
Well, and remember this. Remember the story with Macho Man and Stephanie?
Oh,
yeah.
You always think that's apocryphal, but you know, now looking back, you know, hindsight's 2020. Who knows? Maybe it was real.
He's got such lack of respect for fucking women. What would it matter if he was pimping out Stephanie? What the fuck would it matter, right? And that's where I go. Rita Chatterton, I don't remember that story. I'm gonna have to go back and read it now. And anybody else? The only thing I can think of is I have a granddaughter. Brian, you have daughters. Scotty, you have neighbors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rick, you have a son, but you know your son's gonna be bringing some chicks home one day. So
he's gonna respect them. That's for damn sure. Or I'm gonna put my foot up his ass.
I think what Brian Hardy gets kidney stones, it falls on hard times, and this motherfucker takes advantage of his daughters just to get some money in the house. This guy is a piece of fucking shit. And anybody out there, and I got to go back and listen to the interview with Pat McAfee, and I swear to God, if he humanizes him, I'll never listen to him again. I swear to God, fuck him. Fuck John Laurinaitis. Fuck Brock Lesnar. Fuck everybody who got in the middle of this bullshit and was using this girl as a fucking rag doll. Fuck them, because it's the most unhumanizing thing ever. This guy's a fucking animal.
And here, the other thing about it is, and like, you know, we look at the business, like
the Roman mask.
Yeah. Oh God. You know, you look at the business and you look at the people that Vince surrounded himself with. You know, for all the good she did for the business, look at Moolah. You know, Vince and Moolah were on very close terms.
She was a piece of shit too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
shit
like,
too.
Look at the people Vince chose to surround himself with. You know, he was close friends with Moolah. He kept Snuka in the family even after the murder situation. Like, so many different people that he surrounded himself with that were, you know, just absolute dog shit. And, you know, it's just like I get like in some ways, and again, I with no disrespect to the business that I absolutely love as a fan, but this business sometimes brings like-minded people together and not in a good way. And
I agree. I agree 110%. But I mean, even on an independent level, like I said, it's so hard because there's a lot of people, like I said, that say, "Oh, Brian doesn't get along with this guy," or "Brian doesn't like that guy," or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but Brian Hardy is like one of the easiest guys in the world to get along with. So if I'm not fucking hanging around you, there's a reason I'm not fucking hanging around
the same fucking way, bro. We told that story earlier on the earlier show that, everybody's got a story. And when you come in, I'd make the judgment myself. I don't listen to other fucking people's bullshit. I've heard dumb shit about Brian. I've actually put those fucking guys in their place because they have no fucking idea who this guy is. No fucking clue. Right? I had people talking shit. I make judgments for myself. I don't know where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? I cannot remember now.
Anyway, the fact that this
you don't allow people to put shit in your head about other people to.
Yeah, but anyway, again, at the end of the day, this guy's a knob. This guy, I pray that more people come forward, and there is some deeply, deeply criminal shit going on that he cannot get out of. That's the only thing I can pray for. And I'm not a religious person by any means.
But at the end of the day, though, do you think, like I said, do you think he's just gonna always be able to just buy his way out of whatever
until he runs out of money?
That's exactly right.
Until he runs out of money or die.
Fucking money.
Well, and I was saying this earlier, like, in my view, I feel like, and it's not even about the money. Like the money is one thing, but like Vince has had, and again, whether it's been legitimate charges or bullshit charges, the steroid trial was bullshit charges, but he got out of that. The Rita Chatterton thing, probably now, looking back hindsight, probably a legitimate charge. He got out of that. A lot of other stuff that he has been in or been a part of over the years, he's gotten out of, but I don't, yes, the money is probably 45% of the factor, but Vince McMahon himself is like, he's created this air of invincibility around himself. He believes his own shit.
Ego, man. It's the ego. Ego, fame, and power.
You can't touch him, and that's why he's like that. Like, he's never been able to be touched.
And I think in a lot of ways, like I was saying earlier, I feel like, at this point, Laurinaitis and Lesnar are going to be the scapegoats on this one. And, I'm not saying he's not going to come out of this scot-free, but I feel like Vince is going to not get as much on him as the other two because he's Vince McMahon.
Listen, he's the kingpin of this whole fucking thing. He's the head of the snake. Brock is a wrestler that is one of those guys that, I mean, if you read the court proceedings, they started calling him WWE wrestler or whatever. They stopped calling him ex-UFC or whatever. He said there's text out there. Somebody sent me a text earlier about Brock was texting her saying he was going to take dildos and shove it in all of her holes. And like, this guy's a fucking maniac too. Fuck him.
How much of that do you think was Vince saying, "This is what I want you to do"? Because you read all of the stuff about Vince having like fantasies and crap that he likes to.
Very little. I think a lot of guys. Again, Brock Lesnar is a dude that has a ton of fucking money. He doesn't have Vince McMahon money, but he's got fucking. I got more money than anybody in Minnesota money.
Well,
right?
yeah.
I got more money than anybody.
Vince padded his wallet and account.
Yeah, he's got a shit ton of fucking money. So he's probably into some weird ass shit too. I feel like I could be in some weird shit.
I was gonna say, and this sounds terrible to say. I have a lot of rich friends and I have a lot of regular friends too, but
Thanks,
I think
asshole.
at a certain No. I
He was talking about me. You're the regular dude. I'm the rich guy.
But I have so many friends that I think are just bored because they don't know when they reach a certain status quo, it's like they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. And if that is their excuse on why this shit is happening, then that's really fucking lame too. Like, I'm just bored out of my gourd and I don't know what the fuck else to get into. So let me go do.
You're right. You're right. If I got all the money in the world, right, and I'll never have all the money in the world like these fucking guys do, but if I say, well, what if I want to take my truck and run it straight through the fucking neighbor's house? Fuck it, I'll do it.
Because I have money. Because I have money, I can pay for it.
It's almost like an adrenaline rush. You know what I mean?
Like I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Look at The Rock. He's one of the richest people in the world, and he's not doing dumb shit that we know of like this. The man's
no, that we know of. Keyword.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
that we know of.
He's making movies.
Probably pretty clean. He's probably pretty clean since they put him on the board of directors to be the face of the board of directors.
Yeah.
When the shit was getting ready to hit the fan.
Yeah, but I mean, he keeps finding more stuff to get into to make more money.
Yeah. Then again, he could be just as much a part of Vince's, backroom shenanigans.
It's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It will come out. The truth, and I must say it. Ryback was right.
I know, and I hate to admit that.
I hate to admit it. Yeah.
Truth always finds a way to get out, man. The truth always comes to the front. That's it. You can lie all your fucking life. I can say I'm 170 pounds. You're going to see me in person and go, my motherfucker's 225. That motherfucker's a lie. Right? The truth comes out one way or another. Comes to the forefront. And we'll find out. There's more names going to be named.
Yeah.
There's probably so many skeletons in that closet. It's wonder the fucking door can even stay shut.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm just wondering what other wrestlers will be named in some of this stuff. Like, who else did Vince get to re-sign besides Brock Lesnar, or even just to sign in general? Like,
well, there was another person that at the end of 2023 or middle of 2023 that was not named but was part of it that they just signed, and I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
I guess we did a little bit of research. We could figure out who it was. We know it wasn't Ali.
Ali's appearing in Impact.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody's gonna go there because that's like the forbidden door to everywhere. So, anyway, boys, I think that's gonna be it, man. I appreciate you hanging on here. Not a normal hardway wrestling, right? Not a lot of goofing and laughing and giggling like I usually do.
Yeah.
But, every once in a while, we gotta talk about Vince's dick. That's just how it is.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna, once we end this episode, I think I am just gonna. I didn't want to at first, but I think there's just too much there that I got to dive into it now to check it out.
Yeah, hug your kids.
Hopefully, the print's large.
What you did there. Hey, weak plug.
That's right.
Amazon.com, folks. Wrestling with Life, rocking all night. The Brian Hardy story.
That's right. Get your. It comes with a monocle. That's what Ricky said. It comes with a monocle.
It's gonna have the kidney stone edition out soon.
Gonna add a chapter 2.
That's right.
All right, boys. Thank you so much, everybody who you joined us again here for the last few. We've been on since 5:00. The last couple hours here. We appreciate you. Again, tell your friends. Get them to join the page. We love everybody here. I almost didn't love everybody earlier today because there was 1 or 2 people that were posting things like, well, maybe you should take a look at this and look at this point of view. And I almost deleted these motherfuckers off the page. I swear to God, I was so fucking mad. But then I think this is their opinion, right or wrong.
I was going to say they're entitled to their wrong opinion.
Their opinion. This isn't Vincent Kennedy McMahon's hardway wrestling. I let them, but just know if you have your opinion, I'm gonna fucking have mine, and just be prepared to hear it if yours is shitty. So, Anyway, boys, thank you so much. We're gonna get out of here. You guys have a good weekend. Tomorrow, the Royal Rumble. Check it out. Tomorrow morning, I guess I didn't say this on the last one, but if you're on here now, I'll go ahead and say it now. Tomorrow morning, I'll do the random draw for the. So we have 12 people. That's 2 spots apiece, right? Nope. Yep, 2 spots apiece. What do we do with the other 6?
Leave them open. If that number wins and there's no money in the bank and Jesse's safe.
Jesse's safe. Okay, perfect. And we'll figure something out for later on. So anyway, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
On the hard way.